The Swedish National Maritime and Transport Museums is a government agency that operates 4 museums in 3 cities. The Naval Museum in Karlskrona describes the history of the Swedish Navy, the naval battles of the Swedish Empire, the history of the Cold War and the present day. The museum is a must-see when visiting the World Heritage Site, the naval port of Karlskrona. The Maritime Museum in Stockholm describes the history of mankind's thousands of years at sea. The museum has networks across the country, lists culturally and historically interesting ships and pleasure boats, and provides support for maintaining them. The museum works side by side with dedicated volunteers and associations. With 1.5 million visitors a year, the Vasa Museum in Stockholm is Scandinavia's most visited museum. It tells the history of the ship that sank in 1628 and was salvaged 333 years later. We also highlight stories that are rarely told. For example, the Vasa's Women exhibition tells the story of women in the 17th century. The Swedish Railway Museum in Gävle has a unique collection of over 300 vehicles from the mid-19th century until today. The Railway Museum is currently being refurbished into a brand new modern facility. In the meantime, trips on historic trains are arranged throughout the country. Vrak, Museum of Wrecks, will be the agency's 5th museum to open in Stockholm in 2020. Based on the research of our maritime archaeologists, the museum tells the story of the Baltic nations and their shared history, hidden under the surface. The agency's operations involve much more than the museums. Outside the city of Eskilstuna is a collection featuring the history of roads, with everything from bicycles to heavy machinery like road graders. And at Arlanda Airport is a collection of some 40 planes, the oldest over 100 years old. We conduct research in collaboration with universities and colleges, which not only forms the basis of our exhibitions, but also serves several other important purposes. One of our greatest challenges is replacing the supporting structure of the Vasa, as the current supports are not bearing the weight sufficiently. New research findings and collaborations will make long-term conservation possible. We are one of Sweden's most sustainable agencies, and we work with some 50 players in Scandinavia's foremost attraction, Djurgården in Stockholm, to welcome visitors to the unique National City Park. Our collections include 1.4 million photographs, 70,000 drawings, 60,000 books, and 140,000 objects of all sizes. The agency employs 220 people, from exhibition producers and educators to train drivers. With 2 million visitors each year, the Swedish National Maritime and Transport Museums is Sweden's most visited museum agency. We broaden people's perspective of the world through knowledge, experiences and involvement.